Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see that. Let's see those likes. Let's see those thumbs up. Let's see those hearts. All that kind of stuff. Oh, let me turn off my local feed there. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pedro. Got Pedro Garcia in the house.
Whoop 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 whoop. Let's get it. Hey guys,
it's another good day here, everybody. Welcome to the show. Once again, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. I'm so glad to be hosting DYOR Live for you new people coming into us. It's a show about crypto, the digital economy, what's going on in the markets, BTC, everything crypto, meme coins to all the best
Crazy
ones. And then, of course, lots of opinion about policy, regulation, and all that type of stuff. And so we're trying out some new ways of doing things to get people hooked on the show from right at the beginning. So we're going to hit it right with Pedro and Bitcoin recap. What's going on, Pedro?
Yes, definitely. It's on. Before I get right into that real quick, I want to jump in. If you guys please hit that like button, subscribe, and share. We'd really appreciate it. That will help us out a lot. Get this out and running. And additionally to that, if you could also share it on your normal provider that you use for your social media, that gets the name out and helps us out. If you look down at subscriptions, as you notice, we're already at 6,700 people now who've subscribed and are paying attention and looking. So please, what you guys are doing is helping. We appreciate what you guys are doing a lot. So just want to say thank you for that. Also want to throw this out here real quick. Want to throw out, what's up, Pit? What's up, Kaching? Dado, Charles. What's up, guys? Good to see you. Good to see you. Please hit that like button. We'd appreciate that. Get that going. And hit those little hearts, because those help out a lot, quite a bit, by hitting those hearts. All right, guys, let's jump into Bitcoin here right now. So what did it do over the weekend? And because we talked, remember, guys, like I said last week, that, when I saw that they had released the
ETF,
the contract early, the ETF early, and remember how I said I saw that sell-off come in? I said, man, I think they're about to turn it around. We were already up at a supply zone, sitting at these levels of 48,000 to 45,000. We talked about this quite a bit. We were here for about a week, right? Week to 2 weeks here trading. And so the only beautiful part behind this is that we have not put in a lower low here. So right off the jump, look, we still have a higher low sitting right here that we kept in on Friday from the sell-off. Saturday, Sunday, we have this little bit of kind of consolidating period. But the problem is on this day, look, it's looking weak. So I'm pretty positive. So look, though, this is not a bad thing. This is a buying opportunity, okay? The institutions are now involved, and this is what they do. They never buy, ever buy expensive. They always drop the market before. Remember when Facebook launched, right? It was one of the biggest IPOs in all of history. And what happened? It went up a little and then sold off. Okay, so they're going to do price discovery here. This is an opportunity for us to actually dollar cost average into what we're seeing, and be able to get in with a good price. And on top of that, here's the thing: all the other altcoins are going to be selling off as well. So that puts you in a really, really good position to be able to know what's happening. So you're saying, well, Pedro, where are we going to be?
Pedro, where are we going to be?
That's great. Thank you, Tom. All right. So like I've talked about this already, the first real support area, like I brought up, was that 40,000 area. I do expect us to come down into these lower levels. The next spot right here, it should be about that 33,000 mark area. If we come down to here, okay, I do think we'll probably hold here, about that 33,000 mark area. If not, the next spot is at 30,000. After that, we should see it drop down to that 24,000 mark area. And then after that, if we do continue seeing it continue down, right, that 20,000 and 19,000. Now, prior, if you go back and you look at my videos, okay, I've talked about us actually even going further down to that 20,000 to the 15,000 and below to the 67,000 mark area and then 44,000. You're like, Pedro, if it goes down to there, then crypto is dead. That's exactly what they want you to think.
Right.
Okay, that's exactly what they want you to think. And everybody's going to sell up their Bitcoin, and then from there, they're going to buy it up, and then you're going to see a screaming up position. And what's happening is their dollar cost averaging as they're coming down, so they can corner the market, because they should have been in here a long time ago, up at these levels of 500, 200, 100. They know they should have been down in these levels here, but they weren't. So they're trying to get this as low as possible. Okay, so don't be afraid. It's okay. I'm dealing right now and communicating with a lot of high-level banking people, and the reality is this: is they're dying to get into crypto. So that means that they're going to play the same old shenanigans that they do in the traditional markets and that they've done in all other markets, in housing market or whatever, that they do here. Okay, so don't get caught off guard. Don't think the world is falling or the sky is falling. Don't be no chicken noodle. No chicken noodles around here. Okay.
Nope.
Chicken noodles. Because that means we don't have we diamond hands. We hold on. All right, my peoples. All right. Talk to me, Goose.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Pedro, for the Cinco Min de Pedro segment. I used to just call it Cinco de Pedro, but five of Pedro didn't make sense. So 5 minutes of Pedro makes better sense about that. On the social media front, gentlemen, I screwed up my comments machine. And I love putting your comments on the screen and putting them up there and all that kind of stuff. But only my comments can go up there today. I don't know why it's not reading anything. I upgraded, didn't go well. But anyway, as I say, what's up, Doc? We'll play. Let's see if we can get a sound effect or two. What's up, Doc?
What up, Doc? What up? It's good to see you guys.
Yeah,
it's real good
work.
To see you. We're there. We're working on that.
All right, what's up, Dada? What's up, Pit Monk? Thanks for joining in. And what is up, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching? Let's try ka-ching, ka-ching. Nope. Nope. Let's see. Cable output D. Nope, that's not working. All right, well, we tried.
Yeah, we try. Hey, we're almost there, so it's all good. The other thing behind it, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm having some construction done downstairs, so you guys are going to hear some pounding, particularly, or maybe even a drill going through, kind of somewhat. I'm just giving you guys a heads up so you know what's going on. Oh, and I wanted to ask you a couple quick questions regarding with Gensler. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Gensler do you think he's pro crypto? Because, I mean, you would think that we're having this sell-off here kind of happening right now, and he's not saying much, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, if he wasn't pro crypto, you would think that he'd be like, oh, no, look, I told everybody, now look, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll do the voice answer if people want to put some comments on there. I think he's hedging his bets. I think, as we all know, last week he voted with the Republicans to approve ETFs, and obviously there's some political wrangling behind the scenes. Why is that still on there? Behind the scenes, and the Democrats could vote no and have cover for it. But he's also got to figure out where he sits in case the administration changes. And his appointment was, I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 years, but it will expire here in the upcoming next presidential term, and he's got to be able to know that he sides with whoever the president is, and see if he wants to be reappointed. I mean, frankly, at this point, you know, whatever his government salary is, I don't know, it's probably $400,000 or $500,000 running the SEC. He could go work for a bank and make many more millions of doing that. So, but apparently he likes being in the limelight and that type of stuff. So, I think he's pro, you know, whatever people want him to do so he can keep his job, you know. Yeah. And like I said before, I think he's pro being the man, and he was the man this week or last week. Everyone looked towards him. He was the center of the investing universe because he had all the traditional FI banks and everybody else, and all the new people in crypto and the digital economy all looking towards him for advice or what's going to happen. So he was literally the guy. And now he's just the SEC chairman. Now that and most of the time, nobody even knows who the SEC chairman is. You know, who is the last one? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like right, like who, like. The only reason why I think he has been such a instrumental point here is because he's kind of like he knew he was the last wall for crypto, and if things went awry in crypto, it would fall on his legacy, right? It would absolutely he would literally be known. I mean, he wouldn't be able to get a job. That's just it. The Democrats would have blamed him. The Republicans would have blamed him. So he might have just been hedging his bets, like you said. Like, look, if I don't be a pain in the booty here, then potentially I ruin my ability to be able to really move ahead. So he potentially could have been the guy where he says, okay, I need to balance this because I need to be the bad guy. I need to be the bad cop, and then later on I can be a good cop, right? And if people ask him, he could be like, look, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if so-and-so was going to be falling apart. And all of a sudden, it's like, it's on my head and on my shoulders. So I had to make sure that things were done. And then he'll be able to point and say, look, I did what I was supposed to do, and it still fell. What do you expect of me? Right? I mean,
exactly. And I guess that's a good point from my perspective. We've seen it here in the comments. People are calling it out. And you briefly mentioned it all week last week. We were calling out. I shouldn't say we. I should say Pedro was calling out that he had his bands in Bitcoin between 47 and 48,000. I kept asking him, is that where it's going to top out, or is it going to bust through? And Pedro's like, well, according to the charts, this is the area. There's the resistance here. And there's enough of it that I think this is where the correction will happen. And by golly, live on this show, for probably 4 out of the 8 shows that we had recently, Pedro called it live. Called it and said, that's its top, guys. And that's right where the ETFs kind of came. Well, they came out a little less than that. But it pulled back from there, and we're still calling it to go a little bit down after that. So there's nothing better than getting some new viewers, getting some new subscribers, and then having a bang-on prediction like that. So good job there, Pedro, calling out the charts there, and of course making everybody tons of money because we all raced right out, borrowed $100,000 and shorted the market, and we all just made some fat bank, right? We did nothing. We did nothing, and none of us earned a dime.
Listen, do me a favor. Well, some did, just so you know. But what I'm saying though is this: make sure that you have this is not financial advice.
It's running.
This is okay. Perfect. Just want to make sure because I'm looking at it right now. I can't see it.
No, it's just because I have my screen back up. But when I switch to your screen, it runs automatically.
Oh, perfect. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'll make sure. Those are important things. There's laws happening right now in crypto, and I don't want to deal with the laws retroing to me. So this is why that thing needs to always be coming up. So, anyways, side note, dude, what are your thoughts on a lot of like the ETH, or not a lot of the about ETH, man? Like I was honestly I was expecting ETH to do a little shoot up, and if you notice, even last week I said expect us to come up into our supply area here, and sure enough, ETH we saw a sell-off as well. Now obviously it wasn't as big as Bitcoin, but again we hit the supply area at these levels, and now we're seeing a sell-off here. And right. But here's the thing, what do you think? Because with the adoption of BTC ETF, and now the on-ramp for ETH or ETH's ETF.
ETH ETF. Oh God, this is going to be even worse.
I know, dude. Well, it was funny. I was dealing with a banker. I was dealing with a banker this morning, and he was calling it F, and I go, ETH is one of those things that, I was trying, and so he goes out ETH ETF, and I'm like, oh dear Jesus. these guys don't even know the lingo. Help us, Father. Like, for real. But they want to get in it.
Well,
They want
personally,
to
I
get
think
into it.
ETH is good because they're getting the FOMO now. You know, people said, "Oh,
Yes.
ETH could be next."
Yeah.
ETH is the as Birmingham, UK is called the second city, just like Chicago is called the second city in the US. ETH is the second crypto, and it for sure will be next. You know, they'll have the ETFs. All of a sudden, you're going to see in a few weeks thousands
Yep.
of them. Well, maybe not thousands of them. It'll take them a while to
No.
go through. So by the middle of the summer, there'll be an ETF for everything. There'll be freaking Pepe meme in you up yours ETFs. or at least index ETFs. You know, they'll be
Yes.
which
Yeah,
will be a
absolutely.
great thing actually. Index ETFs will be great. So you'll be able to buy and sell right on that your broker will be able to buy it. The
Absolutely, I
iShares,
agree.
no problem,
Absolutely.
and you can get broad market exposure to crypto, which will be frankly a good thing for everything. If
A
money
game
comes in and
changer.
spreads it out over everything, you know, all the top
Be a
30
game
or top
changer.
100. Yeah, there'll be the Russell Crypto 100, the Russell
Yep.
Crypto 500. You know,
Yep.
which means there'll be some dude in
Yeah.
the back room buying meme coins.
Dude, I so look forward to that happening, man. Like, it's gonna be nuts. Like, because here's the thing, and I heard I was actually on with the dojo. Why am I forgetting their name? I always want to call them coin. Not Oh, come on. Why am I forgetting them? On Live Air over here. And they're one. I mean, I love them as a group. They're a phenomenal group. DeFi Dojo. Forgive me for that.
Right.
Formerly known as
Ninja Lounge?
the Ninja Lounge, right? We're sitting there, and I was sitting there talking to a guy. He goes, "How are you going to explain an infinite system trying to fit into a finite system?" And I said, only one word: bull. Bull run.
Right.
Bull. So, what's up, Akron? It's good to see you, brother.
Akron.
Or is it Akron?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron.
Yep,
Oh,
it's a
my
city. Just for everybody, if you got to this point in the show, two things. One, our comment system isn't working that well, so I can't put your comments on. I can only put mine on. But I like putting your comments on. But I'll hopefully have that fixed for tomorrow. And two, as we see from LinkedIn and YouTube, the DVR function doesn't work that well. We like it so that when you click on play these guys, it brings you to the live spot where we are. But you may be starting in arrears. So check that little live button and scroll ahead to where we are live so you can participate in the live banter with us instead of commenting on something we stopped talking about 5 minutes ago. So welcome everybody. Welcome all the viewers that we have. Just so you know, the outreach that Pedro and I have been doing, and more importantly, the outreach that you viewers have been doing has helped a lot. Two of the videos that I've uploaded in the past, not so much our live shows, but the videos that I did about BRICS, about the 4 reasons why BRICS is going to be a failure, lack of insurance, corruption, no central bank, I can't remember the other reason, reliance on the gold, which is these countries just steal from each other. And then talking about the perils of a modern-day gold system. Those 2 videos kind of went viral. For us, viral is like one of them's got 10,000 views right now, or 13, 14,000 views, and the other's got 2,000 or 3,000 views. That's huge for anything that I've uploaded. And it generated, we went from 2,200 subscribers to 6,700 and change right now in an incredible boost. And the trick for us now is to convert those people into viewers of our show. So how we're gonna do that? The YouTube algorithm doesn't work that way. You know, you gotta get them get them to be on the see the live feed in their feed. So they have to be people on our time zone. And I think a lot of the people that subscribed are not in our time zone. Because the topic of BRICS is a worldwide thing, not so much a US or Canada thing or Europe thing. But anyways, the trick to be to get those people there. So and the trick to doing that is to get the algorithm to love us more, and that means engagement, ladies and gentlemen. I'm seeing this chat window go Go, 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 go. Carmen Crypto, welcome, Carmen Crypto. Carmen Crypto says an unexpected Chinese news article about Evergrande has more effect on the market than US ETFs. You darn right. Evergrande might miss its bond payment. Ah, the world is falling, sell. ETFs, wah, wah, wah.
As of right now, but you know, to tell you the truth.
So let me finish my talk. So
Yeah,
so do that engagement for us. It's really helped us out. Those hearts, I see someone pumping those hearts out right now. Hit the 100%ers too. And also commenting here and then leaving comments after the show is over really, really helps. I engage with all of those. It creates the engagement. So the algorithm says, hey, this is still something important to talk about. Because, you know, live shows, they're not the evergreen content, which lasts forever. And so we got to, for live shows, we got to hit it while it's hot. So thank you very much for everyone listening to my begging and pleading and groveling. But congrats to Pedro and I. And for the luck of the algorithm, because I don't know if maybe last week you guys didn't notice, or 2 weeks ago, Saudi Arabia said that they were interested once again in officially forming a BRICS kind of currency or settlement system, and then last week or past couple of days ago, China said they want to be done with the dollar, and make everybody that works in China or buys stuff in China to use the Chinese renminbi and yuan, whatever, instead of the dollar. And I'm like, hey, good luck with that, you know.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, because the Chinese currency is just not liquid. You know, they've got 1.4 billion people, but their currency is not liquid enough. And the US dollar is liquid at every bank in the world. Every bank in the world and every financial institution, it's got enough dollars to do whatever it needs to do, or access to it. And for the Chinese to have, I mean, the world's manufacturing comes out of China. I mean, like, what is it, like 50% of the world's manufacturing of stuff's in China now?
Literally.
In order for people to buy all that stuff from China with the Chinese currency, the amount of currency the Chinese would have to put around the world and all the banks would be far more than their economy could handle. Their inflation, they would have to devalue a lot. Their inflation would go crazy. They would lose control of their currency because right now it's heavy-handed on the amount of. I mean, Chinese people can't take currency out of the country. You know, they have limits, and they have all kinds of schemes to get it out into the Vancouver real estate market, and so they can't just get rid of, you know, take money out of the country that easily. And so, getting rid of that whole system and allowing the money to go everywhere to every financial institution in the world that needs to finance their clients' purchases out of China, it's impossible to happen. So everyone would have to trust the Chinese government. You know, people complain about the U.S. dollar, that's for sure. That's for sure, and they complain about printing money and all that. But you got to forget, the U.S. dollar is still trusted at every financial institution in the world, because regardless of the political party in charge, it's still very stable because you have this massive banking system and economy grinding its gears behind the scenes, keeping it running. And the world's economy runs on it. It's the number one transaction currency. And in countries where it's not the number one transaction, in the UK and in most EU countries, it's the number two currency transaction. You know where the Chinese currency is? Like number 512. So
I'm not disagreeing with that. You know, that's one of those things that I'm not opposed to. And I agree with you, right? It's the lack of trust with China, Russia, right? Iran, and a few of those. But here's the thing, and this is important. And I'm going to I'm quoting Lawson over here, is that there is a de-dollarization that is happening. There are countries out there. I mean, you look at Brazil. Yes, they still have their stuff pegged to the U.S. But the reality is this: is so much food comes out of Brazil that their own people get screwed over. And if their system was to actually, or let me say system, but if the BRICS dollar was to, let's say, start to really take prominence in the world, how long do you think it would take? I mean, are we talking like, do you think maybe 3 months, 4 months? Obviously not, but I'm going to use it as an example. Or are we talking within 5 to 10 years?
Decades.
We see it prominent. Now, tell me about these decades, because the reality is for me, I see what's going on. And like down in Mexico, right? during COVID and other places, they didn't want to take the dollar. People were like, I don't really want the dollar because what the dollar was doing.
That's a bit. To be honest, during that whole period, you saw a couple leaders of countries, mostly in Africa, but it wound its way. The worm of basically the Russian and Chinese PR machine that in Africa, they just openly bribed the leaders of those countries to say things and to do things. And they were pushing the backstory that the dollar was like literally you heard, I think it was the president of Kenya saying that sell your dollars now because at any moment the dollar is going to crash and we're going to see big news about it and it's going to be over for the US.
I remember Kenya.
Right. And the whole banking system laughed at him. And he was like, yes, and I'm not going to say anything on the air about that, but the Russians have been known to pay people and the Chinese too. And it was a big to do, like, oh, everyone's like, and then of course nothing happened, and so the president looked like an idiot. Note that could be construed as our president, which may be true too, but I'm talking about a different president. And so the talk behind the scenes.
Just jump back. No, I want to jump back to that because it's both, right? It's not one or the other. We see both presidencies as well as Congress and the Senate. And you sit there and you look at the arguing and the things that they can't pass. It ain't like we're like Parliament or Parliament in Canada where it's like they have like almost a supreme leader, right? Where if things
it's a dictator here in Canada. It's unchecked power. Literally,
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that. I just stuck with supreme leader. All right. So, but the reality is that when you look at what's actually happening around the world, and then you look at our democracy and what's actually happening, if stuff hits the fan, do you understand how we don't have the speed to actually make things happen? What are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the things that doesn't happen quickly is financial systems changing things fast. And financial systems only change when a new generation with new skills works their way through the system. And that's what happens with Bitcoin. It's taken 15 years for it to get where it is. And that's because people that were there at the beginning have been promoting it for so long, and they've worked their way up through the system. And so they're becoming people that are trusted now in Congress and in large financial companies and things like that. It's the same with, this is why my argument, and Dara, you're right, the U.S. seizes assets. It's a problem that I agree they overstep their bounds. But the issue is that all of these institutions around the world have risk management departments, banks, financial institutions, all that. All those risk management people have been trained and then worked their entire lives based on learning the risks of the economy and of their local economy and of the international economies, based on it there being a reserve dollar. For them to all of a sudden change anything quickly is completely impractical, because they'll literally put in front of their boss, something like, China wants us to start doing stuff in their currency, or Brazil, or whomever, and the bosses say, what are the risks? And the risks are, well, their currency could devalue tomorrow and we'd be broke. And they'd be like, okay, we're not doing that. So we'll either start buying the product from someone in Mexico, or we'll call the Chinese and say, we can't do that. And the Chinese will either stay firm or they'll cave in. And after enough people say, nope, we cave in. That risk management, people forget how institutionalized risk management is. If you go on LinkedIn and look at the risk management things, there are people that or groups, there are people that argue. How we argue incessantly about Bitcoin versus ETH, or ETFs or Gensler or something like that. There's people that argue incessantly the finer points of international credit risks, down to the size of the propeller on the ship moving it, because one size of propeller breaks when it hits floating containers, and another size of propeller doesn't. That's how deep down they go for risk management. And it starts, in everything there. It's insurance. The entire insurance market is based on pound sterling and the U.S. dollar. And you can't get away from that. All the insurance in the world goes to Lloyd's of London. It's just, there obviously there's a couple other major syndicates too, but generally all of them end up at Lloyd's at London. And all the shipping of the world, all the air freight, all the big expensive things, And if you think someone's going to insure stuff based on a currency and a legal jurisdiction that they may have no ability to have a fair recapture of costs from. Because you think about insurance, you're like, well, I'll get insurance for my, fake plastic doo-doo that I had a factory in China make and ship it to kids for Christmas. Well, that ship's got to have insurance of millions and millions of dollars. And just think about an oil tanker. Say, China says, all right, we gotta insure that stuff in the Chinese currency. You got to buy insurance for that ship, not just to pay your clients when you lose their stuff in the ocean. You've got to buy insurance that covers fixing the whole coastline for billions of dollars. Think about that. Who's going to insure that if it's the Indian currency or a South African currency or a currency backed by somewhere where they don't have any sort of legal jurisdiction to go to court and sue for coverage when the insurance company denies them? Just like the BP Horizon thing in the Gulf of Mexico. It wasn't a ship, but it was still an oil rig. They lost a couple of $1 million in oil, right? Oh, well, we lost $55 million in oil or something like that. But they caused $55 billion in damage that they needed to pay for. So when people think about, you got to go into that risk management mode and say, how do you unseat that? If someone says, we're going to unseat the dollar, we're not going to do it. They have to retrain all those risk management people, and not just retrain them, but satisfy them that they're not going to cause their company or their clients to lose money. And that's really hard, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why I talk about the hegemony of the U.S. dollar while people are complaining because our administration is wrongly playing politics with it. It's almost impossible to unseat unless the U.S. completely screws it up, which is possible.
I was going to say, so this is what I want to bring up, because here's the thing, is as of right now, by us dealing with what we see, right, with both people in power and both both seats, right, outside of the top brass, you still have people who are very incompetent. Like, it's not like, and here's the thing, it's not as if like there was an old statement that was basically said, right, like, hey, there are adults in the room. Lies. They're all lies, because there were no adults, no matter what end, because each one are fighting for their own system instead of coming together. And this is the part that I bring up, is that, and this is what scares me, the real power of America has always been that when push comes to shove, what do we see? We literally see Americans coming together and say, you like black, I like white, but you know what? We can settle on gray. And right now, that's not what we're seeing. Shoot, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that you're correct about that. Two things, and obviously, and I'm coming to you from Canada today. I put my Canada hat on. What we see in Americans is that they do come together, and I'll give you two classic examples. One, during the Clinton administration, right before that, our debt was out of control, similar to what it is now. And Clinton said, and the political machine behind him said, that's it. We now have to balance the budget. And we have to raise taxes to do it. We have to reduce spending, even on all our good programs that we love, Social Security, Medicare, and all that. We need to do that to get this under control. And they did it. And we had a couple of years of balanced budgets. And we even had a surplus like 1 year, and I can't remember which year it is. And we came together, and everyone said, this is what we got to do. And we're probably getting to that point again. The second thing is that and this is kind of a side note, but it gives you the mentality of why Americans think the way they do. And when you look at the amount of giving into social causes in around the world, and they rank the countries of not just like total number, but per capita and all these other things to see how individuals give, Americans are like 10 times more in giving to causes. And not just like individuals, but they get together as groups and things like that and say, yeah, we need to fix that. We need to fix that.
Wait. I want to add to that, because I'll put this. I've done a lot of work with around the world, around stuff, and I've been to natural disasters, and the right wing, not necessarily fundamental extreme right, but central right wing Christians are typically I would say 70% of the people who actually volunteer around the world to actually take their own money and actually go and help out if they're allowed in a country, right? Like certain countries don't like Christians, right? So they're not allowed to go in there and actually work, right? But other countries, like they'll be like, and if you go and you look at it, it's primarily, like you said, 80% of them, 70% of them are literally Americans.
Right.
Add that in.
Well, and I'm
Go
not so
ahead.
much talking about like physically going around the world. Here's another good example. A couple of years ago, there was a physical disaster of some sort, or not a tidal wave, or I can't remember which natural disaster it was. I was in the U.S. Leaving to go to the U.K. And when I tapped to buy my coffee or whatever, the clerk says, would you like to round up the change or donate, the balance to the Red Cross for whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Click. And then when I got to the UK, I got off the plane and I'm like, oh, I need something else. And the person in front of me, I heard the lady, it was like a Preda manager or upper crust or something like that. It said the same thing. And the person goes, fuck off, that's my money. And the difference was in the US, we're like, yeah, of course I'll give to that. And in other countries, including here in Canada, Canada is like 1/4 the amount of giving per capita as in the US. And obviously there's wealth issues, people in the U.S. have a higher standard of living than those in Uganda and stuff like that. So, we give more than they do. But even amongst the wealthy OEDC countries, there's still a difference. We've gone on a big tangent here, and everyone's probably listening. Oh, God, Striking's rolling on it again. Uh-huh. But the point is that in this dollarization issue is that when, eventually Americans come together and reach the point where we're like, all right, screw it, we need to fix this. And hopefully we figure that out with politics here soon, but more importantly, we fix it with our budget. And because I've been reading Dara's comments coming in from Ireland, and he's right. He said, the biggest buyers are dumping U.S. treasuries. China they're selling them, but Tether's buying it. So
actually, crypto is
saving the U.S.
It is actually hilarious. Circle, like all the major stable coins are legitly buying it. And as it keeps growing, I don't see it not keep buying it. Because like you said, it's a really interesting thing to see as when you go to the auctions, right, for debt and for what's actually happening in the US with these bankers, yes, bankers are wanting to have a higher interest rate before they buy our debt, which has been, primarily large institutions, banks, countries, right? But ultimately, I look at it like this. If we fall, the real people who hurt the most is honestly China.
Absolutely.
Right? If we fall, like it's a difference if I owe somebody, let's say $2,000, right? And it's like, okay, well, how are we going to manage this, right? I'm only bringing in, a couple thousand a month, and I can pay you like $100 a month. It's going to take a while, right? I'm the one really at heart. But if I borrowed from you half of your year savings for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And now you're waiting for me to pay you back. Who's the one really at
right? Exactly.
Right? Who's really hurting here?
Well, that's
right?
the bank analogy you used the other day. Yeah. If you owe the bank $1 million, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion, that's their problem, right?
Absolutely. So it's and will she live long enough for us to actually go through and pay it, right? That's the other thing. America's having issues.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but
it's... Well, one of the issues we had last week, Pedro, was that the ETF launch was one big wah, wah, wah. And before we get into the charts, I'm going to read an article to you on Decrypt that was from Decrypt. That was my thinking here. Let me go find it here. You guys.
Oh, while you're doing that, so I'm noticing we're having 10 or 11 people watching, but we only have 6 likes. So if you guys could do us a favor, please hit that like button so we can get that up to. Right now, there's 10 people watching. if we can get that, whoever hasn't hit that like button, please hit that like button so we can actually go through and get it up to 10 before. All right, guys, go ahead.
So an author or writer I follow on Decrypt, his name is Sander Lutz, writes good stuff. And he wrote this article. He writes an article this week in crypto. The ETF circus comes to town. And multiple plot twists upended a week that was already guaranteed to be high octane. Just bear with me for a minute here, because this kind of goes along with what Pedro and I'm reading this, so I'm quoting decrypt.com. These are not my words. These are Sander's words. It was the craziest week crypto has had in a long time, and that's saying quite a lot. After months of escalating anticipation, the crypto community entered this week expecting it to finally, after years of waiting, deliver the most approved spot Bitcoin ETFs in Wall Street's history. Nerves were at all-time high with potential trillions of dollars worth of asset exposure to Bitcoin on the line. Then a full day before analysts predicted the verdict would arrive, a post on the Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC Twitter account announced that every single pending spot Bitcoin ETF application on its desk had been approved. Crypto Twitter exploded with jubilant euphoria. BTC began pumping. Then, in less than 10 minutes, SEC Chairman Gary Gensler posted a tweet asserting that the agency's account had been hacked. Wah, wah, wah. After several more minutes of jarring confusion, the truth became clear. The ETF approval tweet, as official as it looked, was a total phony. Joy turned to grief in an instant. Gains for BTC instantly soured as the cryptocurrency began to plunge. Crypto users were stunned, not just at the whiplash, the afternoon's events, but at the seemingly naked hypocrisy of the SEC, which had routinely admonished companies under its purview to enact stringent cybersecurity messages, but apparently had failed to introduce or institute those measures itself. Back here, it says on October 24, this is a reminder to secure your financial accounts as well as against identity theft and fraud, and keep your social media accounts secure. Twitter users oscillated between mocking the incident and worrying that it could somehow negatively impact the spot Bitcoin ETF applications before the SEC. Yet, just 24 hours later, braced to analyze breaking news more cautiously, denzians of crypto Twitter began hearing rumblings that the BTFs, it almost went into South Korea's BTS band. The Bitcoin ETFs had, in fact, been approved, and this time the real proof was listed on the SEC's website. But confusion reigned once again because the SEC's website crashed moments later, leaving everyone panicked. Oops.
That was hilarious.
404. The fact that they couldn't predict
so
that
bad.
when 1 million people hit their website.
I know.
I mean, you got to when you're going to have an event like that, you got to let your web host know so that they can load balance it right. It's very easy to do, and most things you go in and click it and say, I'm about to have high traffic, and behind the scenes, they fix it up for you. Alas, the relief came minutes later when the news was confirmed. In a historic action, the SEC had in fact approved 10 spot Bitcoins, permanently changing the cryptocurrency's relationship to traditional finance in the American economy forever. Let's see. The celebration continued into Thursday with the competing ETFs debuting with impressively high volumes. I might add that most of that volume was the people taking stuff out of Grayscale and moving it to their trust or to their BTC ETF and into other things. And then, of course, I'll skip the rest of this, but as we all know, what happened to the price, Pedro?
It plummeted. Or it went up, then plummeted, right. And then it went sideways, and then went down again.
It was just one of those things. The market gave it a big wah wah wah. Although I might add, the market did. Twitter pointed out, various people on Twitter pointed out that back in when was it 2017 or 18, when Bitcoin futures were approved to trade on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that was at its local high also.
Yep.
And it just dipped after that. Then what was the other one started trading? What was the other one? Right at 60,000 or something like that. There was another big thing that they allowed to start, and it just immediately tanked, and everyone got hammered.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't even have to sit there and say, whenever something gets introduced, you always have price exploration. It's just how it rolls. Like the banks never want to. Banks don't buy on. Better word to say is, banks won't buy expensive stuff. They will always go in for a lower price of something. So you can guarantee, right, that they're going to push it down, and they're going to figure out a way, whether it's Warren Buffett saying that Bitcoin is trash, or Jamie Dimon is out there saying Bitcoin is trash, but then the next week creates its own coin and blockchain and launches it.
The
Right?
ultimate hypocrisy.
Like, but either way, we still sit here and we see that we're seeing buys, and so it's not a bad thing. It's just how it rolls. It's you know, it's government. Unfortunately, it's this government, right? And it's what we live in today. Hopefully, in 20, 30 years, it won't be that way.
Yep.
Hopefully.
All right, enough of me pontificating right now. Let's get to what people want to see. Let's just talk about the markets, what's going on with various charts. Pedro, while you get started doing that, I am going to... I made the mistake of having... I've been drinking tea lately, and I got vanilla-flavored tea. It's the most disgusting crap on the planet. It's like drinking hazelnut coffee. Like whoever... I know there's someone out there going, well, I like hazelnut coffee. It's great. Disgusting. Disgusting. And so is vanilla tea, and so I got to go replace it. Pedro, take it.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up here real quick so we can all see this. All right, so right now we're seeing Bitcoin again. It's kind of seeing a little pump, but as I always say, I want to see sellers come in first, right, at the beginning of the market, right, for the week. And you can see here, it's Monday here, it's Martin Luther King, but you can see right here that we pushed up first. Now, I'm expecting to see a sell-off for the rest of the week, right? We went up right here for Saturday, went down for Sunday. Now we're pushing up. This is not a good sign. I don't see any seller wicks here, which means it would be able to defend against a sell-off. So seeing this type of situation, I do expect this to kind of turn around and come back down. I do expect us to see, like I've talked about earlier, right? Push below that 40,000, and the first row turnaround junction point would be more around that 32,000 and so on and so on, what I talked about. Let's go ahead and go on to ETH here real quick so we can sit there, because obviously we know that they have some stuff coming up. ETH, and I think this is really, really, Pedro, take us away. Oh, take it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You can see ETH looks kind of similar. I do see it stopping a little before around that 2300, 2325-ish area. After that, if it does keep continuing to sell off, I'm looking more or less for that 2107. And then after that, I see it's coming down to 1756 area. And here's the thing. My original price point for ETH was really about $500. People don't want to hear that. I know they don't. But I could potentially see a major sell-off. Now, we're going to see that before the ETH ETF. I don't know. They may push it down there. I hope they would, so I could buy in at a really good price. Now, let's go ahead and check out BNB. BNB here, like we've talked about, right, had a pretty good buy. Had some really good buys, and then we consolidated here. But last few days, you can see, or excuse me, yesterday, we kind of went sideways, but today we've had a little pump up. So BNB was really interesting. So a part of me almost thinks, like, are they going, like, is the next, is the ETH ETF going to be pulled back, or are they going to launch BNB and ETH? I could see both being pushed, because if you look, there's buying coming in. So that's an interesting thought process, right? But again, I point this out. I don't see any buyer wicks here. So again, it would at least let me think that we're going to see a sell-off here even further, coming back down to that 263 area for BNB. Let's check out, give me 1 second, XRP. XRP is blah. Ain't nothing happening here except they just going sideways, and we're in between some higher time frame SMAs, and they're just doing what XRP is doing, sideways.
Just blah.
All right. Blah. Blah. All right, let's check out ADA. Good old Cardano. Cardano is showing some weakness here. So I expect us to see us come down to these lower levels of 35, 37, 34. And then after that, I do see it's coming back down to that 23.19 area. Then from there, I think we should see a good push up from here, where we would see again to push through this 90 cents to 75. This is actually what we're hitting. It's under the influence of these sellers here, and so this is actually a good sign, saying like if it's stopping here before this area, I would expect it to just rally through this area. If it does stop, because it's eating up a lot of these sellers here. Now, obviously, if you look right here, there are also a zone here for those who are traders. But you can see here with this, it's setting up more of a motion for it to push up. So that's why I kind of discounted this area right here that was sitting here, just simply because there really wasn't any real higher time frame zones that I could sit there and point out and go, yeah, this is definitely a an area that I would want to short. You can see here, it just is, there's not much here except for this zone. Up here, this is where I would look to get. So it's something to be paying attention to. Doge. All right, so Doge hit our area here of supply. As you guys can see here, we're doing a sell-off. We did a nice little bounce off of the 8-period moving average here on the monthly. As you can see, almost hit it to a T this month. And now we're kind of consolidating here. So by looking at this, you can sit there and see most likely it's going to come back down and retest that, right? We're seeing more volume on the sell side come in with the higher volume stepping in versus more buyers stepping in when we come down into demand. So to me, that's a sign that if it goes up and I see a lot more sellers stepping in, they want to sit there and drop it. And so where you're like, well, where are we going, Pedro? Where are we going? I'm pretty positive we're going to come down to that 499 area to the 491. And then for that, probably the 366 area. Yeah, that 366 to the 281. So these are areas that you want to be paying attention to if you're looking to dollar cost average into Doge. Let's real quick check out Solana. So Solana has really found some decent support right here at something that was previous supply, which has now become demand. So it's really interesting. I was actually kind of shocked seeing this weekend that we didn't have as much volume at this level. Because I didn't see a lot of volume, and I do see more seller wicks than buyer wicks, I can see it's coming back down, pushing through. It all depends on how the next time we come back down to this 50-period moving average, are we going to bounce off it with volume or not? If we don't bounce on that 50 daily, then, and this is simple moving averages, with real volume, I expect us to pierce this and then shoot down to the next area. The next area for Solana is about that $50 mark from where we're sitting. If we decide to go up from here and we do find support at these levels, then the next real spot is back up at that 129 mark and most likely to push through to go up potentially to this next level, which is the 202 area here. So that's going to be a giant gainer for it, right? And you'll see it happen fast here. So be ready for that. That does happen. And I'm really interested to see us. If not, I do expect us to go down a little bit further into the lower regions here that I'm expecting and that I've talked about here. Preferably, I would love to see it come back down to that $15 mark so I can load up. It's kind of nuts there. All right, next, let's check out Litecoin. Litecoin is again another sad one. It's like XRP. Wah, wah, wah. You would think because they're so tied to Bitcoin that we would have seen a huge rally in Litecoin, but we didn't see nothing happen here. So again, I'm stuck in between this range here between the 49 and 104, or 104 to 99 to the 49 to 47 area here. Let's check out Tron here. Tron had a nice little pump over the weekend here. We found support at this demand zone, and you can see here it came in with some really good volume on Friday. We did look at it, or on Saturday. We did look at it a little bit before, and I said if we do find support here off of that 100 to 89, we should see expected to come up into the monthly supply area, which is sitting at that 12 cent 1294 area to the 12303. These are just simple areas where you see institutions come in, sell off, winning positions, and then buy in again at lower levels. Again, crypto is just accumulating right now. I think the banks are keeping it kind of in a sideways position so they can keep accumulating because they know that they're far behind compared to where they want to be. As you guys can see here right now, Matic is sitting at a level, and I love Poly. Poly is one of those ones that I think they've got a lot of stuff going. I mean, both Matic, as well as Solana, as well as ADA. Like they're all really good blockchains with a lot, and as well as Tron, with a lot of activity going on, much like we see on Ethereum. Now, obviously, Ethereum is king, but if they don't take care of really the underlying issue, which is transactional fees, people are sooner or later going to come out with a blockchain that will take over. That's one thing that Vitalik Buterin has been talking about, literally, that they're trying to get down. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen in 2024 and see if they'll be able to do that. But if I'm running a business and it's making good money, why would I take away the ability for it to make good money? I'm just saying. So unless, he's going to be kicked out, kind of like Kodak was when it came to the face of digital. Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out here. But back to Matic. Matic here, as you guys can see here, we're kind of going sideways here. They came up with a bunch of good information back in October, and we put a higher high here. We're putting in a lower low here. So I do expect us to see some type of push. So if we see a push in crypto, I will expect to see Matic push up here. The next one, let's check out DOT. DOT went sideways. Like I said, I did expect DOT to climb higher. I expect us to come down to the $15 or come up to the $15 mark. I'm kind of shocked that we're kind of going sideways there because DOT has so much stuff going on. And we had a lot of volume coming in at these levels here. I'm kind of shocked that we kind of petered out right here because this was good volume sitting at these levels right here. So I'm a little shocked seeing it kind of consolidate right here versus pushing up to the highs here. So, but we do need to pay attention to those seller or to those buyers sitting here because obviously these people, whether this was a bank pushing in and just and wants to keep it at a level, maybe that's what happened. But there is somebody that is buying here. You can see here at these levels here, right, that these are buyers. So, and they're consistent buyers. You can see what's going on. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens here. This was profit taken from hitting these levels, coming back, and then rebuying at lower levels here. Shiba Inu, and AVAX. AVAX is looking a lot like DOT, but the difference is there's not as much volume sitting here. So to me, I would expect AVAX then now to drop off down to these lower levels. AVAX sitting at right now the $36 mark. I do expect it to come down to that $20 mark and potentially like $20 to $19, and then potentially down to that $10 mark, $10 to $11 mark for then another explosive rally, most likely for the bull market. So be ready, save your ducats. Shiba Inu, Shiba-Ru, Shiba Doge, or Shiba, not Shiba Doge, Shiba Inu. Let's take a look at this here real quick so you guys can sit there and see. Shiba Inu, again, had a big little pump over the last week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but you can see it kind of petered out here again. So I'm kind of waiting and seeing. We did hit our supply zone here and then sold off. If we don't make a lower low from here and we consolidate, I do expect us to push through 0.0000113 and to go to the next level, which is going to be that 1679. If we do not, I expect to see this come back down to the 3 or 5 or 60. I think it's 60. I can't see that. 60638 mark to the 599 area before we see again another rally up out of this. All right, guys, that's it in a nutshell. Any other things you want me to look at? Oh, yes. Give me a second. What we normally look at here real quick. Let's check out Kaspa. Kaspa here. Again, we're consolidating at these levels here that I've talked about. Expect if we do see a sell-off, to see the sell-off to come down to that 7.8 mark to the 7.15 area. And then from there, expect if we do push up out of this by us hitting, what I'm looking for is hitting that 89 to 100-day period moving average to hit these levels and then to see it rally out. And I need to see volume, not these little volume, but I mean volume like this that we saw up here to see it come in to push it up even higher. So that's what we're looking for there on Caspa. Nets, like I said, I talked about on Friday. When was this? On Tuesday, we were putting in a topping signal here for Nets. Come on down, Cardano. Come on. Yeah. Charles, he's just like, bring it on down, baby. Bring it on down. Bring it on down. You know, so little Pedroism there. You can see here that we've got that 20 period moving average now showing up here, which shows another area of support. So that would actually come in at that 11-cent mark that I talked about earlier, and that would actually be previous highs, as you guys can see. So that'd be the 9 to 11 mark area. So this is potentially, because I don't have enough info on here. Let me put this up here real quick. All right, boom. Here we are. And then the next one, as you do. And if you guys will do us a favor, hit that like button. And if you like what I'm giving you, if you like the alpha, as you all know, if you guys, whatever money you guys decide to give us, right, donate to us, that does go back into the show by us basically trying to promote and get the name out there. As you guys can see, this is what I'm looking for with nets. This would be the buy area for myself, because we have that 20 period moving average, and now we have the 11 to 10-cent mark area. So those are little areas you might want to check out. Let's go and hit up somebody had us come and look at this Raven coin last week. So
that's right, Raven. I forgot about that.
So Raven coin is stuck in between that 400 period moving average and 100. So this is a consolidation period. You're going to need some real volume. Whoever came in and bought, when we had the sell-off and came down to the 009 cent area, which was, I believe, down right here. So I could put this in as a area that we would want to see. All right, so we're looking for.
Can you move it over a little bit? Part of it's behind my head. Yeah, there you got it.
There we go. So you can sit there and see right here that we hit this area of previous demand. Okay, we came, pushed down, found support. This is price discovery. Then we shot up in the last bull run. And by the way, what a pump. Like, that was impressive. So it went from 008 all the way to 29 cents. So that's a 100x, right? It's I believe 200. Well, I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's a lot X. There's a lot of X's there. So there's some money still here. So you can see somebody made some big money here. And so I do, if it is going to pump, I would say it's going to start gathering money at these levels. Okay. And you can see right here, somebody is buying at these lower levels, but not into the exchange, not into the, to the amount that we can see in the past here that people put money in. So be careful there, but it needs to break out of that 2-cent mark area to see it continue up in this next bull run. I believe that was it. Does anybody else want me to check out anything else?
I managed to get the old school comment machine working here. It's somewhat of a disaster, but if you got something, let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro's on a roll.
Iron. All right. IRON. Here we go. IRON. Iron and boom, boom. I know, dude. We just went through almost 15 coins in like 20 minutes, dude. I just was like, bam, 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 bam. All right, here we go. Boom. All right, nice.
Well, that was an interesting comeback for a project there.
Yeah, like that iron impressive. That like legit. And here's the thing, you don't ever see this. Look at the amount of volume here. You know, and it actually, it almost looks like there's real traders here because they bought in at pullbacks. Okay. And then right here, look at this jump up right here. Boom. Come back, sits on top. This is an algorithmic trading. Somebody's algorithmically trading this to push this, which is good. This means this is like potentially, I mean, this is like kind of institutional move here. I mean, I
don't know anything about iron at all.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. Tell us a little bit about it, Pip. Or I can just look them up here real quick. Let's add these guys on. I'm gonna add iron to the system here. Iron. Iron.
Arr. It's just
Iron.
Ireland. Ireland's from Ireland. Arr.
Ireland. Forgive me. And Pip, I know you're from I don't know much. I just mentioned two of the
It's from north of London.
forgive me. Don't crucify me.
I don't know why we were just doing
I know.
pirate voices as our Irish
I know. Dude. And look, you can see right here. Go ahead. What's
so
up?
pathetic.
Oh, forgive us. You can see here, look, the fact that it bounced off the 8-period moving average almost to a T on the monthly. You can see here that it's following the 8-period moving average fairly well. Okay, so we did pierce it, so it might do a nice little, I'm thinking for a pullback area here. These areas right here. Give me uno momento. Here we go. Little demand area right here. You can see here on this demand area here, it's a nice little support here. You have two demand zones. So always I try to go with the second lower one or the second one above us for the next one, right? That's always what I try to do, because I can always get in if it pushes back up with volume, but everybody hates buying in at a level and then it's like, oh, I could have bought lower, right? So
I know.
This is like the most frustrating.
It's always buyer's remorse. Even when you time it really well in those rare instances, there's always a couple of more points you could have gotten. You're like,
darn it! All right, guys. So here's one for you. There's also the second one. So the fact is that you have that weekly 20-period moving average sitting at that $1.20 or $1.31 cent area here. Look at this. This is a nice little area for me. So if I see a pullback, this is where it will most likely come down into that $1.60, down into that $1.30 mark, $1.20 mark area. I know that's a wide area there, but it's if it's at $2 and coming back down here, you're saving at least 30% there. So that's not a bad discount getting it at these levels. If this and the part that I like about it is every time it came in, it had nice sell-off with a good amount of sell-off, and then you saw a rally back up where then it made higher highs, right? Boom. You had a big seller, somebody took profit, but even seeing the profit, it didn't go red. And by looking at that daily mark here, I honestly sit there and go, you know what? I see more buyers stepping in, taking profit, and then pushing it down. That's not a bad chart. In all reality, not a bad chart at all. So as it's moving, you always want to see a chart sell off at a peak, right? At this type of level. And how many? So that's 50 cents, and it went up 3x, or excuse me, 6x, 7x. You know what? That's a good sell-off for crypto in all reality. So yeah, look, this looks like a decent project from a chart level, right? From pure chart. I don't know what they do. I do not know.
Apparently it's a proof of work thing, though, and Pitmonk has mined 2 of them.
There you go. All right.
We'll get Pitmonk into the mining. He's a diehard. Every topic we talk about, he's like, "Oh, I'm fully in that one."
Listen, we need to bring him on one day and have him talk about mining, because I think that's one of those things I think we need to start even looking at. Right, that's a huge market in crypto, and just even knowing more about it, how to even get into it, how to establish it. Yes, absolutely. Oh, SteamX. Yes, let's go check out SteamX. And I believe it was on. Where was it at? CeeLo. Deck screener. So let's come on. Let's go. Boom. All right, let's do SteamX. Boom. Okay, so SteamX, and this is off of Wrap BNB. Okay, guys. So this isn't a US dollar, but looking at it. Showing some strength. Do they have? I wish we could get the US dollar here with it. X USD. Yeah, so they're purely on BNB, right? Currently, I'm assuming. Kitching.
That's a question for Kaching if he follows it.
Yes. Steam X.
BNB, yeah.
All right, boom. So let's see if I can find USD with it. USD. All right. So yeah. So now I've got to do multiple pairs. So what I need to do, give me 1 second. Boom. Maybe I want to look at BNB because I need to correlate Steam X with BNB so I can sit there and look at both. All right. So we go right here. Boom, 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 boom. And then right here, plush dish. Right here. And then go to BNB. So this is one of the things that I'll do so I can get a correct view of the chart, because if you just look at that chart purely without understanding the underlying value of it, that's why I like looking at the dollar, right? I'm always looking at the dollar in comparison to this. So if the dollar is moving up and then I see this moving up, well, obviously the underlying value of that currency is pushing it up. And so you could have a trash thing that is actually being pushed up versus an actually really good where's my chart? Watch list. Here we go. Sorry, BNB. Okay. I saw BNB early, but I want to compare this to what. So what I'm looking for is if when BNB went down, and I saw low volume here on this one, what I'm looking for. Where is my chart?
Yeah, you'll get it eventually.
Come on. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's what I'm going to do here. So what I want to do is I want to run this by on certain dates and see what's going on. So BNB in compared to Steam X. So today it went up a little for BNB, but you can see here we had explosions. So that's a real, so those are real buyers. Boom. Right here on January 2nd. January 2nd. Right here. The other thing I want to sit there and see is if something goes down and it goes up, that lets me know whether or not. Oh, that's.
Oh, it'll go down if you tell me to buy it. It'll go down within about 10 minutes. So guaranteed there.
All right, so you guys can sit there. So today went up. Boom. Yeah. All right, so we had a little pump, so it is moving on with it. And where's the second? So the second went down. And the second here went. All right, yeah, so it is fairly strong in comparison. So when BNB pushes up, this really does push up. And when BNB sells off, this pretty much kind of holds, right? You can see here that we had a big push up on from the 26th to the 27th, right? And you can see here this pump really started. When was this? Right here from the pullback to here. That was the 18th. So when did this push? 18th.
Ah, there we go. I think I got.
Yeah. So this was pumping before. This was pumping before that went. So yeah, this looks like a fairly strong. This looks like a fairly strong project. SteamX here from an actual, from the charting standpoint, there are real buyers here, and the other part behind it as well as this, and I'll put in. The only part that I don't like is I wish I could see more sell-offs, where I could sit there and gauge where it's going to come back down to, because I look for wicks for that. So I would say if it's going to sell off, right? And let me pull this up here quick. Boom.
I don't know when you got here, Space Cat, but thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Here we go. Boom. So here's the next supply area. I would say right here, and I need that. So right here at this level, here. So that 00017 to the 00016 area. Let's say that could be the next supply area here. We put in a higher low here. So I expect us to blow through this area and this area until we get up to these levels here. We should see a sell-off because this was previous demand, which now becomes supply. The next place after that will probably be the highs here of that 445 area. Is another area that we should see. If we do see a sell-off, unfortunately, I don't have any defense against that until down to here. And then after this area, it's almost all the way back down to the lows, which is sitting at that 0.004152. So let me mark this here for us real quick. So, and I'll probably
I hear the construction people in the background now. They got a little a
yeah,
sawzall ripping some stuff apart.
that's exactly what they got going on. They're going at it. And when they be pushing, man, they're trying to get job. They're trying to get to lunch. So, either to the wife or to the people who need to, that's just
right.
partly what they do. So, they're working men. You know what I'm saying? When I was in the Coast Guard, I remember many times wanting to get done so I can go home. Not everybody can work from home. That's for sure. I'm thankful for that. Boom, here we go. So let's go right here.
Which chart do you still have up there? SteamX?
And this is still SteamX. Yeah, this is still SteamX.
That recovered nicely there.
Yeah.
Obviously some whale took their money out there, but the market said no, we're still into this here.
Yep. And the best part behind it is even on this. Here's the thing that I do like. You're seeing this big push, but you're also like, look at the volume, right? It ain't like obviously like the launch, but what you are seeing here is you're seeing some support coming at these levels here. So we came down to this level, and look, you're having real buyers coming in. People are buying this, so you potentially we could see to the next level here fairly easy. I don't think it would need a lot because you can see we hardly have any volume here already, and it's consistently moving up. Be ready though, if you got a bag here at this level, bud, I would sit there and look to sell out some of that bag, break even, or if not, a little bit ahead.
I have a feeling his bag's part of that really big upper thing up there.
Oh,
yeah, I get that feeling that the bag is way up there.
But in the same sense, you can get right here. But here's the thing. After this mark area here, it's the lows. The only thing I see next is the low. And you can see here that this is where you had your monthly area here. Give me 1 second. We actually pushed up and then came down, which was right here. So I'll bring this up right here as well. Right there. So that's in a nutshell, yeah. And then after that, after this mark area here, then you have this. So you have some supply above you. That's real right here. Boom.
Yeah, when you zoom out like that, you're like, all right, well, that's not so bad. But when you headed to expanded there, it was a big down. Clearly from that chart, right after the launch, insiders took a lot of money out of that. I mean, that's the only reason that happens. Just insiders said we're taking the money.
Yep. So guys, that's it in a nutshell. I believe that's it. If you have any other things, drop the stuff in the before the chart. We'll go back and we'll make sure we look at it. Okay, guys.
Let's see what I brought up an article here that I wanted to expand upon for the international group out there. Where is it? Here, this one. And this is the basic concept. The dollar's reserve currency status is the United States reward for controlling the seas. As we all know, right now, in the Red Sea, piracy and just general mayhem is breaking loose because the Iranians are funding some other groups there that are attacking just regular ships, not military ships, like cargo ships. They're like, oh, those evil people sending fake dog poo around the world from China and things like that. Their reasoning is off. But anyway, the U.S. is leading a coalition over there to guarantee shipping over there, because otherwise you couldn't get insurance. And right now, many of these ships are going the long way around to Europe, around the Horn of Africa, which is a very costly, because they have to go thousands of miles out of their way, and they add time. And when you add time to these trips, you reduce shipping capacity. And shipping capacity usually runs right at full capacity. So when you add time and double the length of these ships, these container ships, it strains supply chains and it messes everything up and can literally cause a recession. Remember a couple of years ago we saw the COVID supply chain issues and how it just messed up everything. And this is doing that. So the U.S. is guaranteeing the shipping over there by blowing up everything that gets in its way. And it's not anything to brag about. I mean, Pedro, you were in the Coast Guard. You went around the world and spent time in certain parts of the world extensively to guarantee that those seas were safe from all sorts of mayhem, but drug running, pirates, all that type of stuff. Not just the coast of the U.S. The Coast Guard goes way past past our borders to ensure the safety of the high seas and where the United States interests are. And it's not just the United States' interests for the United States. The United States' interest is keep the world's economy going, because the United States is our own economy is essentially a world economy, and so we guarantee that. But the one of the issues is that everyone always has to remember is that and I forget who said it earlier, but it didn't work. It didn't end up working too well for the Romans in the long run, but for many thousands of years it did work out well for them. And like I said, until it works out well until you blow it. And it's like a NASCAR race. The leader's going around, everything's great. Famous line by Cale Yarborough. He's killing everyone in a race. And he said, and his motor exploded. And he said, well, we was running good until our motor blowed. And that's what happened to the Romans. Their motor blowed. And clearly someday in the future, the United States' motor will blow. But if it goes along the Romans, it's got a few more thousand years left. I mean, maybe it only has 25. Maybe it has 1,000. Who knows? Unpredictable. But the point is that this article is exactly right. The dollar's reserve currency status is our reward for the amount of money we spend on our military. And we invest a huge amount of our gross domestic product in the military, not just so we can go around the world and start stupid wars, which we've done well. Or we've started some good ideas, and we turned them into dumb ideas on day 2 of it. But as an example, after 9/11, when we went over to Afghanistan, said, all right, you got to give us Osama bin Laden. And they didn't do it, so we went in and pounded them, and we kept pounding him. And then we found Osama 6 years later in Pakistan. And Obama came out and famously gave the speech and said, we found him. That day, that war should have ended. We should have said, we found him. We came in and we kicked butt until we found him. Sorry, everybody, but you don't do that to us. And then we should have just gone home, said, nobody do that again. Instead, we let the war go on another 6, 7, 8 years or whatever, and we wasted millions of dollars and all these lives. It was terrible. But the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, the Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, you name them, all of them are spending every day guaranteeing the safety at 200 or 178 bases around the world, the safety and security of the world's economy. And everywhere there's been piracy, everywhere there's been mayhem on the open seas, the U.S. and or a coalition led by the U.S. has gone in and made sure that didn't happen. Remember the Somali problem, the pirates? It went on for a few years, and everyone said, that's it, we've had it. And we just went and blew them all up. And those guys who were like, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. Bad plan. Those guys shoot back. And the Houthis are learning that lesson right now. And actually, we used to do it over in the Philippines a lot too. In those island economies, piracy was a big issue. Philippines are actually doing a good job of doing it themselves now, as they build their navy to counter the China threat. And so by guaranteeing the safety of the world's economy, it kind of goes to say your currency is the one that's accepted. And before the U.S. was doing it, the British were doing it, and the world's economy was, the biggest trading economy was the pound sterling, and also via the rupee, the Indian rupee, when the British were kind of enslaving that country, for no better word. But they guaranteed their currency, and so the rupee became the currency, the de facto currency of the Middle East for many, many years. But the British were guaranteeing shipping and the safety of everybody with their military and their navy. And eventually Americans got sick of it. And that type of stuff. So that's one of the things that goes into this. And it's one of the things you have to unseat in order for a second reserve currency to take its status. And so you have to look at those macro pictures when obviously everyone's opinion is their opinion. And mine is mine, obviously. But you have to step back and look at the macro effects or things that have to happen in order for, that goal of other countries. I don't know if you guys watched, but I even went over India last week or 2 weeks ago, even admitted, because they were saying, well, everyone's going to have to use the Indian rupee if they're going to do business with us. And only after 2 months of trying that, their version of the Treasury said, we can't do this. It's not going to work. All it does is screw up our currency. We don't have the wherewithal to buy and sell Indian rupees in those volumes, and it doesn't work out. And so they quickly gave up on that. And that's how it is, because their currency is not as liquid as it is. And you get a very liquid currency around the world by having 12 aircraft carrier strike groups around the world, and this massive standing army. And, the sponsor here, Audit Chain, I haven't mentioned our sponsors yet, but Jason Myers of Audit Chain famously says, you will be able to unseat all these rules and regulations and what the Americans do when you can get a bigger standing army. That's what the Romans did. They had the best standing army, so they went around kicking butt until they didn't. Then they got their butts kicked. The British had the biggest standing army, standing navy. The British Navy was famous. Before that, the Spanish Armada. The Spain ruled the seas, and the Portuguese, they ruled everything. And the Spanish Armada got their asses handed to them, and that was that for them. That's how it is. That's how the world works, and many people forget that, especially the younger generation. The younger generation, I've been through a number of generations, and the younger generation says, yes, they have their ideals, yes, and I see it in my kids. This was the right thing to do, and all they lack is wisdom and experience. They have the right ideas, and they
even have some wisdom.
Yeah, they have some, but a lot of wisdom is gained by experience. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like they've got, everything's, what's the old saying? Everybody got a great plan until you get punched in the face, right?
No, exactly. And as soon as you get punched in the face, your plan changes drastically.
Yeah, and so does your attitude too. Like there's a senator. God, man, it breaks my heart. Right in New York, I don't know if it was a senator, but he was trying to get a bill passed where you take away the guns in New York, and the guy ends up getting shot. And I sat there and it broke my heart, because it's like, man, if this guy was cool, like if he'd had a gun on him, he could have protected himself. And it was a sad story. So it's like, and the reason I bring that up is, like, you can have great ideas. The problem is the rest of the world is also evil. So it's like, you know what? You need people who have guns to pull out on guys who do have guns who are going to use nefarious reasons. You do need you need laws, because you have lawlessness that happens. You need jails because people do bad things. You need to be able to put them away for bad things.
That's that's the unfortunate thing, is that, and especially with the younger generation, that they tend to assume that, since they're idealistic, they tend to assume that humans are actually nice people. And I may be a little jaded because I'm older and I've seen more wars and more bad things, and I live in a major city with a crime problem. And I know that ultimately you have to learn to be nice. Ultimately, humans are predators and apex. I'll give it to the shark, okay? But apex predators, and we take advantage of people. And certain types of humans are programmed differently, and their whole goal is to take advantage of people. And bad things happen. Bad things happen. Really bad things happen, and thus we have to have laws. We have to have a military. Just imagine if we didn't have the U.S. military right now. And I don't mean
Yeah.
like the CIA behind the scenes screwing things up in countries' elections and meddling. And I get that. Just imagine
Oh,
if there wasn't a world police, what dictators would do.
Yeah.
It would be horrible. It would be awful. And because nobody could stop bad people from doing things. And thankfully, the United States government is generally benevolent. And so they generally do the right things until they decide to pick a stupid war to do. But day to day, they do the right things, and they make things safe. They guarantee shipping. They generally do the right thing. It may cost a lot of money.
They're a smart bully.
Smart bully, yes. But there's a smart bully, and that's not. I'm not trying to justify. Right. I'm not trying to justify bad things that we've done. There's been plenty of bad things and moronic decisions that politicians have made that went like the second Iraq war. First one, you don't invade another country that we support. So we went in and kicked your ass. The second one was absolutely stupid. I mean, we've done that. That was stupid. The length of the Afghanistan war, stupid. But all the rest of the places we're going around, people are raping and killing children and stuff like that. You deserve to have the might of the U.S. military come in and ruin your day. And Dara, you're right. So, we're spending more money on debt now than on the military. The military budget's like 1.5 trillion, and I think this year we're going to spend 2 or 3 trillion on debt. But we can correct the debt problem pretty quickly. Like I was saying earlier, it's not like people are saying, "Oh my God, there's no way the Americans pay it back." You're damn right. We can pay it back. We can pay it back, and we can devalue everyone else's currency faster and raise inflation. And so that $1 trillion, that $34 trillion in debt, and the $100 trillion in potential long-term debt devalues drastically.
Put my screen on here real quick.
Oh, okay. You're up.
All right. So if you guys see, you'll see here that the U.S. debt, right, is slowing down. Like just straight up, it's slowing down. The GDP is increasing at a higher level. I brought this up earlier because you guys can sit there and see that. It's on the upper left-hand corner there. This is U.S. debt. USDebtClock.org. Now, this isn't exact, but this is good for you to be able to look at. And these are actually verified by other websites that follow this. And the biggest thing to add, and I add to this for other countries, right, is that if something, let's just take Ireland, right? Ireland. Forgive me, man. I'm so horrible. But like the reality is we have part of our why we spend so much money and the military aspect is that we develop a lot of the new don't stop. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's that we develop the majority of the new bombs out there, the new range, the new tech of everything. America puts about half of that money into literally creating war or stopping war, because if you're stupid, it's going to punch you in the face.
Right.
Like, what's FO, or was it? Yeah, FO. FO. I think that's what it is.
F round and
or FA. Yeah,
F round and find out.
Yeah. FAFO. Right. FAFO is what they call it.
Right. FAFO.
But the reality is that we like I said, we are a bully, but if at any period of time we think that you're like legitly doing, and listen, and I don't agree with our politicians. And you've heard me many times yell at Tom, picking one over another because they're both evil and both sides are bad, and I don't agree. And I think there needs to be a readjustment of how things are set up and done. But ultimately, I would hate to see China coming in and setting up shop. I would hate to see other entities, Russia setting up shop, right, without a real bully to check them, right? Like, imagine if China really started going through and setting up, and if you wanted to live like the majority of the population in China, right, not the top 10%, 15%, majority of them live in extreme poverty, where they literally have, I say this because not against China or whatever, it's just that we keep things balanced in a sense. And so there's this idea of like, well, they're horrible. Yeah, they are. But it's almost like the necessary evil. to keep the real dark entities from coming in, right? Um, and so it's like, who's, after Thanos,
After
after
Thanos.
after Thanos, who comes next, right? Well, you have people who eat worlds. Or at least, Thanos was just trying to like stop us from killing ourselves. There's darker
Or they
forces
claim
out
their
there.
neighboring state is actually run by the Nazis and just say we have to go
Yeah.
kill everybody and I'll kill them all, and they're not even they don't even deserve to be people, and
Yeah.
they're not people, they're lower than scum, and we go and then nobody could stop them, and the poor people of that country wouldn't be exist anymore if we hadn't helped them.
Yeah. At least, I mean, if we kill you, we kill you. We don't torture you. I hate to say that. I mean, just that sounds horrible. Absolutely horrible. And it breaks my heart. At least we'll just shoot you in the head. We're not going to sit here and strip your skin off and watch your children die. Right? Like, we're just, we have laws against that. And if people are caught, doing the wrong thing, they do stand to get in trouble. Court martial is a real thing. If you're an idiot in the U.S. military and you go too far, you're in real trouble.
Yeah,
It's
you're
real.
deep doo-doo.
Yeah. So, and I want to throw this out here because and if you guys like this, check out this website. I really like this website. You have a bunch of stuff. You have stuff from all around the world here. Energy output. Who's using home sales here in America, also other places around the world. Going over like China stuff, what's actually happening. The other thing is right here, and I really like this other part here. This actually shows us our population, what's actually happening in the workforce, total workers' compensation, what's actually being created. This is a great website. And the best part is this. Let's look at BRICS GDP to gold ratio, and then we can US dollar to crypto and US dollar to gold. You can actually look this up and see what goes on. Paper dollar to gold is $118. Okay. When we look at the BRICS GDP to gold, they're literally $136,421 to 1 per ounce of gold. They have a big climb that they got to climb. They got to mush. I mean, they got to push. This is not a small feat. Dollar to gold ratio. You can see here 9,000 to 9,351 compared to here. You can see here this was silver. Forgive me. This one was silver. Paper to gold. Yeah. So then this is dollar to crypto. And then back in 2013, whereas this is now $12 to $1 for crypto. So whoop whoop, crypto is moving up, moving on up
To the east side,
right,
to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Moving on up. Anyways, guys, hey, it was a pleasure. I got to get out of here. I got to go to real world work here, but yes, my friends. Yes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a good time.
We had a good show today. We went over a lot of projects today. We had good viewership. Have pushed behind the scenes here. We're pushing 50 some odd people tuned in between LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you very much to everybody. We're continuing the trend. Actually, Bitcoin is going up a little bit up here. Look at that, going up. It's one. We're still calling it, making the call, saying it's going down into the 30s. So be careful what you do with your buying and selling. Make sure you consult your own financial advisor. And whether it's the person that lays next to you in bed or it's the person on the other end of a telephone call, doesn't matter. Consult someone else besides Pedro and I. Because all we're telling you is what the markets are saying. We're not telling you to do anything except be careful out there.
What the charts are saying, not necessarily what the market, just what the charts is pretty much communicating to me. So.
And Dara,
right,
Dara, we understand you that you're not hating on it. And
absolutely not.
while you're looking for more insight and you're getting it, which is good. We're glad for that. We always enjoy the opinions and comments that that may not support what we're talking about. That's fine, or bring up the issues so we can talk about it. And
Absolutely.
We like that. Like you brought up a lot of good points today. Of which many of them are worried about. Like, for instance, I am worried about de-dollarization because I enjoy the wealth of the United States as it is. Do I enjoy our debt ratio? No, I do not.
Absolutely.
No, I do not, because it's a problem that we have to deal with. And if we didn't have that problem, we wouldn't need to deal with it. We could spend our money and time elsewhere. Like world hunger and all this type of stuff. Hooray! We're all going to throw flowers and go back to the days of the Peace Corps when the CIA was masquerading as volunteers going around the world. See, I'm jaded too. I have wisdom, experience, and I'm jaded.
I think there's some truth to being jaded, man. I mean, look, like people are people, man. I love people. Like, for example, like at my church, right? We're a small church. We got elder people who need help working. We got 100 people, 800, or we got 100 people to 80 people. You would think at least 2 or 3 people would show up, right? Nobody. Like, I got to sit there and copy and be like, hey, there's a person who's older, who's dying, who needs help.
No,
get over here,
buddy.
Like, so it's like, So no matter what, that's how it works. Anyways, sorry about the doom and gloom here, but thank you for coming in today. Any last? Well, I say, guys, be careful.
I gotta load up. I forgot to load up the new 2024. Where? Hold on. I gotta load something up here before we go. But any last comments by the rabble out there? I appreciate it. Let's see. Production, DYOR. Main logos, motion. There we go. Where's the 2024? Do. All right, I'm finally updated. All right. Just for the week ahead of us, thank you, Pedro, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the time, and hope your business dealings are going well in the real life world. For those of us, if you didn't notice, for a while I had the schedule running up. Pedro and I will be live at noon Eastern Time, 5 UTC, which is 6 o'clock Central European Time, or whatever. I don't know what you are in England, if you're on UTC or UTC +1. Don't know.
London, and
if you're in
UTC.
Sydney, Australia, you're just somewhere out in the future that we can't even get to you out there. But so we'll be on. I don't have any guests planned this week, but I might have my friend Anton come on just to talk about the markets and ETFs and other types of things like that. He always provides a little extra wisdom to these things. That's right. It's Davos week. It's the world. The WEF is going on, which half the people love that thing, and half the people think it's the doom, and they're controlling everybody in the world with the special radiation, and you got to wear a tinfoil hat so you don't get them. But let me tell you the good thing that happens in Davos this week is that outside of the World Economic Cordon that you can't get in unless you're an invited guest or pay the big money to go to, there's like 1,000 other trade shows going on, and a lot of them are crypto and digital asset related. And so that'll be a big news driver this week. And they're not part of the WEF, and doesn't mean crypto is sold out to the WEF. And all you people that think it's the worst thing ever in the world, that a bunch of wealthy people trying to figure out how to make the world a better place. They may not do a great job with it, but they have done a lot of good things. But it's the best networking experience ever, because every decision maker on the planet is there. So if you want to get a deal done, it will happen there. Or at least you will meet the right people to get a deal done, which means the news and stories will be great. And I'm saying that because Jason Myers of Audit Chain here is at Davos this week, and he's unfortunately not one of the speakers at the WEF. He's not that important, but he is there pushing Audit Chain, and so we wish him well in order to get Audit Chain launched properly. Pay attention to them. I didn't punch our sponsor's ticket earlier, so I'm doing it now. Thank you to Patrick Camuso down here at Camuso CPA. If you've got crypto accounting problems or crypto tax problems, go see Camuso CPA. He had a good post today on LinkedIn, and he said, don't rely on your crypto accountant unless that accountant knows how to read blockchain explorers. Because if you just give them spreadsheets and you just give them printouts of your wallet, they're going to get it wrong. And you'll end up paying a penalty in the future for getting it wrong. Because in the history of accounting, I don't think The modern accounting system was invented by Luca Pacioli in the 1500s. No mistake is ever in your favor. It's never in your favor when you make a mistake. It's always against you. It's never like the IRS saying, oh, you goofed that up. Yeah, you owe less taxes. We're going to give you a refund. No, it's always you made a mistake, you owe more. And so you want to get that right. So see Patrick, Camuso CPA. Let him know that DYOR, Tom, Striking, Pedro, whatever, sent you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show today. Pedro, thank you very much if you're still there. And if you're not, I hope you had a great day. Yep. See you tomorrow.
I'm here.
Everyone else, have a great time. See you tomorrow. Be there.